My prayer every day, every morning, is God, take me to the places that you want me to go. Help me see the people that you want me to see. Help me say the things that you want me to say. And most of all, God, help me stay out of your way. Well, as I was working, I was an engineer with a plastics firm for about 14 years. Moved up through the ranks, and I was plant manager of this plastics factory. And we were going through some financial difficulties. But everything was okay. When Julie decided to quit her job, we thought we were still okay financially. We could make it. We'd do some cutbacks, and we'd be okay. So about 2 years later, financial problems hit the company. We had to start laying people off. About 6 or 8 months into that process, the owners of the company decided that they were going to file bankruptcy. And they told us that we had to lay off 200 employees, sell all the equipment, and close the factory. So over that time frame, I just kept telling the people, they were said, "You're crazy. You know, what are you doing here? Your wife just quit her job. You've got a 2-year-old child at home. How are you going to live?" And I just kept telling them that God has a plan for my life. And His Word says that I'm going to live by faith, that He's got the plan. And so I just kept telling everybody that. And shortly thereafter, we closed the factory, and Julie started volunteering with Living in Faith Ministries. At that time, we didn't know that it was called Living in Faith. We knew it as the Cuba Initiative.
Well, the volunteering was real special to me because when I left my job in human resources after 15 years, it wasn't an easy thing for me. I had every intention of working after our first daughter, Jalen, was born. I had no intention of staying home. But God showed me other things. I was trying to juggle last semester of college and a new baby and a 50-hour-a-week job, and something had to give. So that was when the decision was made that I would leave my job to finish school, stay home with her, and it was something I really missed. I missed that workplace companionship that I had. And so the minute that he got laid off, I jumped at the opportunity and said, I'm going to volunteer. I've been home for a couple years with my daughter, whom I love, but it's time for me to get back in touch with some people. So I have a friend who was a Cuban born and raised and lived in the United States, and the Cuban Initiative here at Van Dyke was just something that touched my heart. So I thought this would be a great place to start. So started volunteering with that, and one thing led to another. Found out it was a small ministry that really did need a lot of help. I put my organization and human resources skills to work right away, recruiting volunteers and helping with whatever needed to be done with the warehouse operation. It was very rewarding because it felt like we were finally getting to where we had a purpose in life. We weren't just sitting in the pews on Sunday, and gave us a little bit more meaning to what we were doing. So shortly, about 3 months after we started volunteering, I drug Jon in with me as well, and started volunteering the use of his vehicle and other things, and was asked if I'd like to come on staff and take a little bit of pay to coordinate volunteers. And that's when we found out that the ministry was called Living in Faith. That was about 60 days or so after we started volunteering. So we took a step back and said, you know, the Lord's lining things up. We're not sure what He's doing, but He's lining something up. And then shortly after that was when Jon heard the call, way before I did, that full-time ministry was the place for us.
It was during that time, you know, I'd been applying for a job. I'm a degreed engineer from Purdue University, and I'd been applying for jobs, and just nothing seemed right. And I even got one offer to teach, and it just didn't seem right. And when we found out that the ministry was really called Living in Faith, that's when the Lord hit me over the head and said, you know, you've been telling people you're living by faith for years. Look where I put you, in Living in Faith Ministries. So I couldn't deny it. There was a lot of prayer involved. You know, It's a male-female thing, I think. The females have the security. They want a nest. They want, you know, we had a small child at the time, and there's no security there. You have to give it all up and say, okay, God, your promises are true.
I would say shortly, probably either right around that time, though, we started diving into the scripture more and trying to seek more counsel from his word. Some of our family was very supportive of what our decision was going to be, and some were not quite as supportive. They had the same skepticism that I had, so you can guess which side of the family that might have been. But it was difficult, and there was a lot of conversation, and I think that was probably one of the largest decisions we've ever had to make in our life as a couple. I mean, it even topped marriage, it topped everything, because we really just had to surrender and give up everything to him. And if we were going to count, you know, if we were really going to follow him, we had to make sure that we were going to do our part and say everything is yours and give it all. And that's all the worries, all the cares, no matter what it is, financial, personal, family, whatever, everything had to go to him. And it was a huge, and it was not easy.
It's still
huge
not
step.
easy.
It's still not easy. There's months that go by, even after 9 years, that, you know, I catch myself many times, far from perfect, saying, what are we doing? You know, how have we done this? And we've heard other people say, I don't know how you guys do what you do.
And we say we don't know. You know, it's all God.
We don't. But he is very faithful, and he will never leave us, we know, and he provides in abundantly every month, no matter what our needs are. But it's the surrender part is very, very hard, and it's still hard today. I don't think it's ever anything that'll go away and be easy.